Hello everyone, my name is David Carter and I'm the president of Aqua Illinois. We are honored to be the presenting sponsor of the state of legislation hosted by the Kankakee County Chamber of Commerce. For over 135 years, Aqua Illinois has been a trusted partner to provide safe, reliable water and wastewater services to nearly 295,000 people in 14 counties across the state. We take great pride in investing in infrastructure, protecting our natural resources, and ensuring that families and businesses have access to clean, high-quality water every day. Recent upgrades in Manteno, University Park, Piatone, and Kankakee highlight our commitment to quality and sustainability. We're deeply invested in the communities we serve, working to build a sustainable future for generations to come. It is also our privilege to support the important work being done by our state's leaders. Today, we have an opportunity to hear from key legislators who are shaping policies that impact all of us.
Hi, good afternoon. So let's talk a little bit about what we did this spring session, and I'll give you a summary of some of the highlights, and we'll start with the budget. So this year we have a $55.2 billion budget, which unfortunately is the largest budget in the history of Illinois. It's nearly $2 billion higher than last year. This budget relies on one-time revenues and $1 billion in tax hikes and fund sweeps. We've also seen about a 38% increase in spending since our current governor has taken office. Needless to say, our fiscal issues are not new. This is a problem that we've seen our minority party create of their own admission, with having a tax and spend compulsion. The state of Illinois doesn't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem that we need to get under control and rein back in. The funding sweeps that I mentioned will consist of money being swept from dedicated funds that were paid for by user fees, and they're now going to be used to prop up some wasteful spending that we have in our budget. So they're going to be paying for other spending, other reasons that the user fees were not intended for them to be paid for. Some of the other things that we tried to get done this session were to take some of the tax burden off of our constituents. So we've been talking about this for as long as I've been in the chamber. I'm trying to take some of that tax burden off of our constituents. Illinois families have for years been feeling the strain of the bloated tax burden and the poor job market. My colleagues and I have introduced several pieces of legislation focused on tackling the tax burden and supporting working families. Unfortunately, none of those made it out of committee, but many of those bills would have addressed reducing property taxes for our veterans, reforming some of the real estate taxes, reducing barriers to the START Act, which would have eliminated all first-year licenses and registration fees for small businesses in Illinois. So we would certainly love to see some of those bills get heard in committee and passed as new legislation to help our constituents as well as businesses in Illinois. Some of the bills that I did sponsor this year and get passed out of both chambers and will now await the governor's signature include House Bill 79, which helps protect retired sheriff's officers who would like to go back to work as school security guards. We know protecting our students while they're in school is definitely an important issue. Right now, they're only able to work 599 hours. Without having their retirements impacted, this legislation will allow them to work up to 999 hours. So that's certainly a great piece of safety for our students. House Bill 3428 establishes a semi-annual joint training with nursing home providers and the Department of Public Health to discuss issues of licensure and certification, quality of care, potential violations, and so on. This was an initiative of the industry as well as the Department of Public Health. These trainings were taking place prior to COVID. They discontinued, and now we're just codifying that in legislation for those to continue. House Bill 2774 will guarantee a single accessible phone number for domestic violence services across the state of Illinois, ensuring that consistent support for all survivors is available regardless of their location. And this will be under the guise of Department of Human Services, and it was their initiative, as well as has the support of the domestic violence industry as well. So a great thing for victims of domestic violence in our state. And then Senate Bill 1195 will introduce trauma-informed curriculum to the existing law enforcement training curriculum. So it will ensure that those who respond to cases of sex assault and rape will be better equipped to respond to the victims to minimize any further traumatization. So very excited about that as well. It's a very brief summary of some of the things that we accomplished this spring in session. There are many things that we didn't get accomplished that are still out there for us to address. We may potentially get called back this summer to address some of these issues, or we could be addressing them in veto session in October. Some of those include the transit legislation that still needs to be addressed, energy issues, ethics, which we definitely need to address. Many bills have been filed to address that, none of which have been addressed. Tier 2 pension and safe harbor issues, as well as an election omnibus bill that didn't get called as well. So anticipate that we will be hopefully addressing some of those in the near future, and we can talk more about those when they do get a hearing. So, thank you very much.